Yo, buckle up for a wild ride through the numismatic world, because we're diving deep into the saga of the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel, a coin that's got collectors buzzing with dreams of striking it rich, potentially worth millions in the right condition, with a face value of just 5 cents but a history that's pure gold. Let's unravel this tale of American coinage that's got everyone talking. From dusty attics to high-stakes auctions, where a single nickel could make you a millionaire. Picture this. It's 1986, the year of big hair, neon leg warmers, and the Statue of Liberty's Centennial Bash, and the Philadelphia Mint is churning out Jefferson nickels like there's no tomorrow, with a staggering 536 million coins struck, no mint mark needed because that's just how Philly rolls, but among these millions lies a hidden gem that could be worth more than your wildest dreams. A coin so pristine it's like it was minted yesterday, and we're not just talking pocket change here, this is the kind of treasure that could fetch up to $65 million if you hit the jackpot with the right specimen in the right hands. Now, let's rewind to the roots of the Jefferson nickel, introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, which was a pain to mint with its finicky dies that kept breaking, so the U.S. Mint said, enough, and held a design contest, won by Felix Schlag, a German-born sculptor who'd fled the chaos of Europe and landed in America with a vision to immortalize Thomas Jefferson, the third U.S. president, on a 5-cent piece, with his Monticello estate gracing the reverse, a design so iconic it's still in use today, though with some tweaks over the years. Schlag's portrait of Jefferson, inspired by a bust from Jean-Antoine Houdon, captures the man who penned the Declaration of Independence, served as a diplomat and shaped the nation, but also had his contradictions, like owning slaves, including Sally Hemings, with whom he's believed to have fathered children, a complex legacy etched into every nickel. Fast forward to 1986, and the Jefferson nickel is a workhorse of American currency, made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a cupronickel alloy that's been standard since the Civil War era when silver half-dimes gave way to base metal coins because war shortages drove precious metals out of circulation. The 1986 P nickel, minted in Philadelphia, is no rare bird in terms of mintage. 536,883,485 were produced, making it one of the most common coins of its era, but what makes it a potential goldmine is condition. We're talking about coins graded MS68 or higher by services like PCGS or NGC, where full steps on Monticello's reverse, those crisp, distinct steps leading up to Jefferson's mansion, can send a coin's value into the stratosphere, with top-grade examples fetching tens of thousands, and in theory, a perfect specimen could hit millions in today's feverish collector market. Let's talk about what makes a nickel valuable. It's not just age or rarity, but the magic of mint state preservation, where a coin looks like it just rolled off the press, no scratches, no wear, just pure, uncirculated perfection, and for the 1986 P, finding one in MS68 with full steps is like finding a needle in a haystack, maybe one in a million, because most coins from that year were tossed into circulation, jingling in pockets, getting dinged up in cash registers, or lost in couch cushions. The full steps designation is a big deal. Those 5 or 6 steps on Monticello need to be sharp and clear, a sign of a strong strike from fresh dies, and in 1986, the mint wasn't exactly babying these coins, so pristine examples are stupidly rare, with auction records showing MS67 full steps nickels from nearby years selling for $10,000 to $20,000. And a hypothetical MS68 Plus could, in the right market, push values to dizzying heights, though $65 million might be a stretch unless it's a one-of-a-kind error coin or a cultural phenomenon. Speaking of errors, the 1986 P isn't famous for dramatic minting mistakes like the 1918/7D Buffalo nickels overdate or the 1939 double die Monticello, but minor errors like die cracks, repunched mint marks, or double strikes can still spike a coin's value, and collectors are always on the hunt for these quirks, scouring rolls of nickels from banks or estate sales, hoping to spot a die variety that slipped through the cracks. The history of nickels themselves is a trip. Born in 1866 as a response to the Civil War's economic chaos, when hoarding drove silver and gold coins out of circulation, the 5-cent piece was a practical solution, first as a silver half-dime, then as the nickel we know today, with the Jefferson design taking over in 1938 after the Buffalo nickel's 25-year run, a minimum term required by law before a design could be changed without congressional approval. By 1986, the Jefferson nickel was a staple, but the coin market was heating up, with collectors starting to realize that modern coins in perfect condition were the new holy grail, especially as grading standards got stricter and services like PCGS and NGC turned coin collecting into a science, assigning grades from 1 to 70, where MS-70 is flawless perfection, a unicorn that doesn't exist for most dates, including 1986 P. The 1980s were also a time when coin collecting was booming, fueled by rising precious metal prices and a growing middle class with disposable income, and while the 1950 D. Jefferson nickel was the darling of the era with its low mintage of 2.6 million, the 1986 PS massive production didn't stop sharp-eyed collectors from cherry-picking uncirculated rolls, stashing them away in hopes that future generations would pay top dollar for pristine examples. Now, let's get real about that $65 million figure. It's more hype than reality, because even the most valuable nickels, like the 1913 Liberty Head V nickel, one of only 5 known, have topped out at $5 million at auction, with one selling for $4.56 million in 2018, so a 1986 P hitting $65 million would require an unprecedented error, like a unique double strike or a never-before-seen variety, combined with a bidding war between billionaire collectors in a market gone wild. Still, the dream persists, because coin collecting isn't just about money, it's about history, rarity, and the thrill of the chase, whether you're digging through grandma's change jar or bidding at a heritage auction. The 1986 PS story ties into the broader Jefferson nickel saga, which includes wartime nickels from 1942 to 1945, made with 35% silver to save nickel for the war effort, easily spotted by their large mint marks above Monticello, and those babies are worth a pretty penny today, with high-grade examples fetching hundreds or thousands. But back to 1986, Reagan's in the White House, the Challenger disaster shocks the nation, and the mints pumping out coins to keep up with a growing economy, yet among those millions of nickels, a few stand out, maybe stashed in a bank vault or a forgotten mint set, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. The key is grading. Coins are judged on strike, luster, and surface preservation, and for Jefferson nickels, those full steps are the golden ticket, a detail so delicate it's often lost in the minting process, making coins with 5 or 6 clear steps a collector's dream, especially in a year like 1986 when the mint was more focused on quantity than quality. If you're thinking, how do I find one, start with coin shops, estate sales, or even your own change, but you'll need a loop and some knowledge to spot a gem, and getting it graded by PCGS or NGC is a must to confirm its value, because an ungraded coin is just a pretty piece of metal to most buyers. The numismatic world is full of stories, like the 1950 D nickel, hoarded by collectors back in the day, or the 1969 S double die, a modern error that sold for $22,800 in 2019, and the 1986 P could be the next legend if a perfect specimen surfaces, maybe tucked away in a safety deposit box or a kid's piggy bank. The Jefferson nickel's enduring appeal lies in its connection to American history, from Jefferson's revolutionary ideals to the mint's evolution through wars, depressions, and booms, and even in 1986, a year without major numismatic drama, the possibility of a life-changing find keeps collectors hooked, because every nickel tells a story, and some are worth a fortune. So, next time you get a handful of change, take a second look. You might just have a 1986 P. Jefferson nickel that's more than meets the eye, a tiny piece of history that could turn your 5 cents into $1 million dream. So keep hunting, keep collecting, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to rewrite the record books. Yo, if you loved this deep dive into the world of rare nickels, hit that like button, subscribe for more coin-crazy content, and let's keep chasing those numismatic treasures together. Next, 2002 P coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters, to an exciting deep dive into one of the most intriguing mysteries in modern numismatics, the 2002 P Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin that could be worth a staggering $66 million due to rare errors, minting mistakes, and unique characteristics that set it apart from its face value. Today, we're exploring the fascinating world of Jefferson nickels, specifically those struck in 2002 at the Philadelphia Mint, marked with the P Mint mark, and why certain examples could command such an astronomical value in the collector's market. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, is a cornerstone of American coinage, designed by Felix Schlag to honor the third U.S. President, Thomas Jefferson, featuring his portrait on the obverse and his Virginia estate, Monticello, on the reverse. By 2002, the Jefferson nickel had been in circulation for over 6 decades, with billions minted, making it a common sight in pocket change. However, within this vast sea of nickels, a select few from 2002 possess extraordinary errors and varieties that could transform a humble 5-cent piece into a numismatic treasure worth millions. Let's start with the basics. The 2002 P. Jefferson nickel, like most of its kind, is composed of a 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, weighs 5 grams, measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge. Its obverse showcases Jefferson's left-facing profile, inscribed with, "In God We Trust," on the left rim, Liberty, and the year, 2002, separated by a star on the right. The reverse depicts Monticello, with E pluribus unum, along the top rim, United States of America, along the bottom, and 5 cents, below the building. The P Mint mark, indicating production at the Philadelphia Mint, is located on the obverse, to the right of Jefferson's portrait, just below the date. In 2002, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 692 million Jefferson nickels, a high mintage that typically suggests low value for circulated coins, with most worth only their face value of 5 cents unless they exhibit exceptional condition or rare errors. So, what could possibly make a 2002 P nickel worth $66 million? The answer lies in the rare and dramatic minting errors, varieties, and condition rarities that occasionally occur during the coin production process, turning an ordinary coin into a collector's holy grail. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the striking process at the U.S. Mint, and for Jefferson nickels, these errors can range from subtle to spectacular, each adding significant value depending on its rarity and visibility. One of the most valuable types of errors is the double die, where the coin's design is mistakenly struck twice on the die, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering, date, or other elements. For a 2002 P nickel, a strong double die obverse, particularly one affecting Jefferson's portrait, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," or the date, could be a game-changer. Imagine a coin where Jefferson's eye, nose, or the letters in "Liberty" appear doubled under magnification. This kind of error, if dramatic and authenticated, could fetch tens of thousands, or in extreme cases, push the coin's value into the millions, especially if it's one of a kind. Historical examples, like the 1939 double-die reverse Jefferson nickel, where Monticello and 5 cents show clear doubling, have sold for upwards of $23,500 in high grades, suggesting that a similarly rare 2002 P double-die could command a premium far exceeding typical expectations. Another error to consider is the repunched mint mark, RPM, where the mint mark is struck multiple times, resulting in overlapping or misaligned P marks on the obverse. While RPMs were more common in earlier decades when mint marks were hand-punched, by 2002, the process was mechanized, making such errors exceedingly rare. A 2002 P nickel with a visible P/P repunched mint mark, where the P appears doubled or shifted, could attract significant collector interest, potentially valued in the thousands or more if it's a unique specimen. For instance, the 1942 D Jefferson nickel with a D over horizontal D error has sold for as much as $32,200 in uncirculated condition with full steps, indicating that a comparable modern error could drive prices skyward. Off-center strikes are another exciting possibility, where the coin blank is misaligned during striking, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted off the edge. A 2002 P nickel struck 50% or more off-center, yet still retaining key elements like the date and mint mark, could be worth hundreds to thousands, with extreme examples potentially climbing higher if they're visually striking and rare. Clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to an improperly cut blank, also add value. Think of a 2002 P nickel with a crescent-shaped chunk missing, making it stand out in a collection. Such errors, while not necessarily reaching millions on their own, contribute to the coin's uniqueness and could push its value significantly if combined with other factors like pristine condition. Speaking of condition, the concept of full steps is critical for Jefferson nickels, especially for collectors seeking top-tier specimens. Full steps refers to the clarity of the 6 steps leading up to Monticello on the reverse, which must be fully struck and distinct without any wear or weakness. In 2002, with modern minting technology, full steps nickels are more common than in earlier years, but finding one in gem condition, graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, is still a challenge. A 2002 P. Jefferson nickel graded MS68 with full steps could command a premium of hundreds to thousands of dollars, as seen with other modern nickels like the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, which has fetched up to $32,900 due to its rarity and exceptional strike. If a 2002 P nickel were to exhibit both a major error, like a double die, and full steps in an ultra-high grade, its value could escalate dramatically, potentially approaching the millions if it's deemed a unique or near-unique specimen. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the $66 million figure. While no documented 2002 P. Jefferson nickel has ever sold for this amount, the theoretical possibility arises from comparisons to other ultra-rare coins with significant errors or unique provenances. For example, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, one of only 5 known, has sold for over $3.7 million, and the 1969 S double die Lincoln cent has fetched upwards of $126,500. A 2002 P nickel would need an unprecedented combination of factors to reach $66 million, a one-of-a-kind error, e.g., a spectacular double die or multiple strike error, impeccable MS70 condition, full steps designation, and a compelling backstory, such as being a unique mint prototype or an error discovered in a high-profile auction. Consider the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, believed to be a prototype from a special mint set, with fewer than 40 examples known, valued at over $30,000 in top grades. If a 2002 P nickel were discovered to be a similarly rare prototype, perhaps an experimental strike with a unique alloy or finish, or an error so dramatic it's unparalleled in modern coinage, it could theoretically approach such a stratospheric value, especially if hyped by a major auction house or tied to a significant numismatic event. Another factor boosting value could be a mint mark anomaly, though less likely in 2002 due to standardized minting processes. If, hypothetically, a 2002 P nickel were struck with an incorrect mint mark, such as a D or S over P, an error seen in earlier years like the 1943 P 3/2 over date, it could be a numismatic bombshell. The 1943 P 3/2 nickel, part of the wartime silver series, has sold for $16,675 in MS66, and a modern equivalent could fetch far more due to its unexpected nature in an era of precision minting. Double strike errors, where the coin is struck twice with different alignments, could also create a visually stunning piece, potentially valued in the tens of thousands, as seen with other double-struck nickels sold for $17,500. Improper alloy mixing, like the Black Beauty nickels from the 1950s, is another remote but possible error for 2002 P nickels, where an unusual dark patina or alloy inconsistency could make the coin stand out, adding hundreds or thousands to its value. The rarity of these errors in modern coinage, due to improved quality control, makes any such discovery exponentially more valuable. Collectors also prize coins with historical significance, so if a 2002 P nickel were tied to a specific minting event, say, a test strike for a new die design or a coin pulled from circulation with a verifiable story, its value could soar. To reach $66 million, the coin would likely need to be a singular phenomenon, like a unique error never seen before, graded MS70 full steps, and authenticated by top experts, with auction fever driving bids into the stratosphere. While most 2002 P nickels in circulated condition are worth just 5 cents, uncirculated examples start at around 30 cents to $1.22 in MS65, per USA Coin Book, with full steps examples commanding higher premiums. The leap to millions would require an error or combination of errors so rare that only a handful, or even just one, exists. For comparison, the 1950 D Jefferson nickel, with a low mintage of 2.6 million, is highly sought after, with MS65 full steps examples valued at thousands, but a 2002 P nickel would need an error far more dramatic than low mintage alone. The numismatic community thrives on such discoveries, and stories of pocket change turning into fortunes fuel the hunt. If you're checking your own 2002 P nickels, look closely at the mint mark, date, and inscriptions under a loop for doubling, repunching, or misalignment. Examine the next 2013 P Jefferson Nickel USA coins today, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of numismatics, uncovering the hidden treasures that make coin collecting so thrilling. And today, we're exploring a truly captivating topic, the 2013 P Jefferson Nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin that could be worth an astonishing $66 million due to rare errors, mint mark mistakes, and unique varieties that elevate its value far beyond its face value. So buckle up as we embark on a detailed journey through the history, design, minting process, and the extraordinary anomalies that make this coin a potential jackpot for collectors. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, is a staple of American coinage, featuring a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third U.S. president and a founding father, on the obverse, and his iconic Virginia estate, Monticello, on the reverse, designed by Felix Schlag, whose work replaced the beloved but problematic Buffalo nickel after its 25-year run, and since its debut. The Jefferson nickel has been struck in massive quantities at mints in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with the 2013 P nickel, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, being no exception, as over 600 million were produced that year, making it a common coin in circulated condition with a typical value of just 5 cents unless specific conditions or errors are present. The 2013 P Jefferson nickel, like its predecessors, is composed of a 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, weighs 5 grams, measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge, with the obverse showcasing Jefferson's left-facing profile, inscribed with, "In God We Trust," on the left, Liberty, and the date, 2013, separated by a star on the right, and the reverse depicting Monticello with E Pluribus Unum, Monticello, and United States of America, encircling the design, and the P mint mark, indicating Philadelphia, positioned below the date since 1980, a shift from earlier years when mint marks appeared on the reverse or were absent for Philadelphia coins. What makes the 2013 P Jefferson nickel potentially worth $66 million, however, are the rare errors and varieties that can occur during the minting process, transforming an ordinary nickel into a numismatic treasure, as mint errors are mistakes made during production that result in coins with unique characteristics. And while the 2013 P nickel doesn't have widely documented errors on the scale of earlier key dates like the 1943 P fishhook over date or the 1942 D over horizontal D, the possibility of undiscovered or rare errors in this year could drive its value to extraordinary heights under the right circumstances. Let's start with the types of errors that could make a 2013 P Jefferson nickel exceptionally valuable, beginning with die errors, which occur when the metal dies used to strike coins develop imperfections, such as a doubled die, where the design is mistakenly engraved twice, slightly offset, creating a visible doubling effect on elements like Jefferson's profile, the lettering, or Monticello's steps. And while no major double die varieties are officially catalogued for the 2013 P. A. hypothetical high magnification double die, particularly on the obverse portrait or reverse steps, could be a game changer, as collectors prize such errors for their visual appeal and rarity, with past examples like the 1972 double die nickel fetching thousands at auction. Another potential error is the repunched mint mark, RPM, a variety where the mint mark is punched onto the die multiple times, resulting in a doubled or overlapping P that's visible under a loop. And although RPMs were more common before the 1990s when mint marks were hand-punched, a rare instance of a misaligned or repunched P on a 2013 P nickel could still occur due to die preparation mistakes, potentially commanding premiums in the thousands if discovered, as seen with the 1942 D over horizontal D, which sold for $15,275 in MS66 condition and up to $32,200 with full steps designation. Off-center strikes are another error type that could elevate the 2013 PS value, where the coin is struck misaligned, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted, and a dramatic off-center strike, say 50% or more, on a 2013 P nickel would be highly collectible, with similar errors on other dates fetching hundreds or thousands depending on the degree of misalignment and the coin's condition. Clipped planchet errors, where the coin blank is improperly cut, resulting in a curved or straight edge missing part of the design, are also possible, and a 2013 P nickel with a significant clip could attract attention, especially if it retains most of Jefferson's portrait or Monticello, with values for such errors typically ranging from $50 to $500 based on severity and eye appeal. Another intriguing possibility is the improper alloy mix, sometimes called Black Beauty nickels, where the copper-nickel alloy is unevenly mixed, giving the coin a dark or unusual appearance, and while more common in the 1950s, a 2013 P nickel with this error could be a standout, potentially valued at $100 to $1,000 depending on the extent of the discoloration and collector interest. The full steps, FS, designation is another critical factor that could push a 2013 P nickel's value into the stratosphere, as this refers to the clarity of the 5 or 6 steps leading up to Monticello on the reverse, requiring a pristine strike to achieve, and coins graded 5FS or 6FS by services like PCGS or NGC are highly sought after, with earlier full steps nickels, like the 1953 SMS67FS, selling for $24,000, so a 2013 P nickel in MS68 or higher with full steps could theoretically command tens of thousands if not more, especially if paired with a rare error. The concept of a $66 million 2013 P Jefferson nickel hinges on the idea of an ultra-rare, unique error, or variety, perhaps a one-of-a-kind discovery like the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, of which fewer than 40 examples exist, with one selling for $32,900, or the legendary 1913 Liberty Head nickel, with only 5 known examples, one of which fetched $3.7 million at auction, so for a 2013 P nickel to approach $66 million, it would need to exhibit an unprecedented combination of errors, such as a dramatic double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, and full steps, all in gem uncirculated condition, MS68 or higher, coupled with a unique historical context or provenance, like being part of a special mint set or an experimental strike. The 2013 P nickel's high mintage of over 600 million makes such a find statistically improbable but not impossible, as modern minting technology, while precise, isn't infallible, and errors can slip through quality control, especially during high-volume production runs, which were common in 2013 to meet circulation demands. Other potential errors include die cracks, where a fracture in the die leaves raised lines or irregularities on the coin, which can add $10 to $100 in value depending on prominence, or die chips, where small pieces of the die break off, creating odd shapes or filled letters, as seen in some 1960s nickels valued at $50 to $200. A double strike error, where the coin is struck twice with different alignments, could also be a major find, with similar errors on other dates selling for $17,500, and if a 2013 P nickel were discovered with a double strike showing clear overlapping designs, it could fetch thousands, especially in high grades. Overdate errors, like the 1943 P3 halves fishhook nickel, are unlikely in 2013 due to modern die-making processes, but a hypothetical overdate caused by a die mix-up could push values into the tens of thousands, as collectors covet such dramatic mistakes. The condition of the coin is paramount, as Jefferson nickels are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with uncirculated coins, MS60 and above, commanding higher premiums, and a 2013 P nickel in MS68 or MS69 with a rare error and full steps could be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, potentially rivaling the value of the rarest coins if it captures the numismatic community's imagination. The historical context of 2013 nickels also plays a role, as the U.S. Mint was focused on high-volume production, and while no major design changes occurred that year, experimental strikes or test pieces could exist, similar to the 1964 SMS nickels, which were part of a special mint set and later discovered to be extraordinarily rare, so a 2013 P nickel from an undocumented special strike or with a unique minting anomaly could theoretically justify a multi-million-dollar valuation if authenticated and hyped in the collecting world. Provenance, or the coin's documented history, could further amplify its value, as a 2013 P nickel tied to a significant event, like a mint employee's collection or a rare mint set, could attract intense bidding at auction, as seen with coins like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which gained fame through its association with early collectors. The numismatic market also influences value, as collector demand for Jefferson nickels has grown for key dates, errors, and full steps varieties, with high-grade examples from the 1930s to 1960s, like the 1950 D, mintage 2.6 million, valued at $10 to $50 in MS-65, commanding strong premiums, and while 2013 P nickels lack the low mintage of key dates like the 1939 D or 1950 D, a unique error could create a new, key variety, driving prices to astronomical levels if it becomes a must-have for serious collectors. To illustrate, let's consider how errors have elevated other nickels. The 1942 D over horizontal D, caused by a mint mark punch error, is valued at $15,275 in MS-66, and the 1943 P3 halves over date, with its distinctive fishhook appearance, sold for $16,675 in MS-66, so a 2013 P nickel with a comparable or more dramatic error could follow a similar trajectory, especially if it's a unique specimen. The possibility of a mule error, where a 2013 P nickel is struck. Next, 1988 D Jefferson Nickels USA coins to an exciting deep dive into one of the most intriguing stories in numismatics, the 1988 D Jefferson nickel and the tantalizing possibility that certain rare errors and mint mark varieties could elevate its value to an astonishing $56 million, far beyond its humble 5-cent face value. If you've ever wondered how a simple nickel could become a collector's holy grail, buckle up, because we're about to explore the fascinating world of the 1988 D Jefferson nickel, its history, its minting process, the errors that make it so special, and the reasons why some of these coins might command such a jaw-dropping price. Let's take a journey back to 1988, a year when the United States Mint in Denver was churning out millions of Jefferson nickels, a coin series that's been a staple of American currency since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the Jefferson nickel features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third U.S. president, on the obverse, with his Virginia estate, Monticello, gracing the reverse. The 1988 D Jefferson nickel, like its counterparts, was struck with a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing 5 grams, with a diameter of 21.21 millimeters and a plain edge. In 1988, the Denver Mint produced a staggering 5,505,405,048 Jefferson nickels, making it one of the highest mintage years for the series, which might make you wonder, how could a coin produced in such massive quantities be worth millions? The answer lies in the rare and captivating errors that occurred during the minting process, transforming otherwise ordinary nickels into numismatic treasures that collectors dream of owning. To understand why the 1988 D Jefferson nickel could be so valuable, we need to delve into the minting process and the types of errors that can occur. Coin minting is a complex operation involving the creation of dies, which are metal stamps used to strike designs onto blank planchets. Errors happen when something goes wrong, whether it's a mistake in the die creation, the striking process, or the handling of the planchets. For the 1988 D Jefferson nickel, several types of errors could potentially elevate its value to extraordinary heights, including doubled dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and improper alloy mixes, each of which we'll explore in detail. Let's start with double die errors, which occur when a die is misaligned during the hubbing process, causing a slight doubling of the design elements. A double die obverse, DDO, or double die reverse, DDR, on a 1988 D Jefferson nickel would show noticeable doubling in Jefferson's portrait, the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," or the details of Monticello, such as the windows or steps. While no major double die varieties are widely documented for the 1988 D, a significant DDO or DDR could theoretically exist, and if discovered, it could be a game changer. For example, the 1939 double-die reverse Jefferson nickel, with doubling in Monticello and 5 cents, is a prized variety, and a similar error on a 1988 D could command thousands or even millions if it's unique and in pristine condition. Imagine a 1988 D nickel with clear doubling on Jefferson's eye or the steps of Monticello. Such a coin would be a numismatic sensation, potentially valued in the 6 or 7-figure range due to its rarity and the high demand among collectors for dramatic errors. Another error that could skyrocket the value of a 1988 D Jefferson nickel is a repunched mint mark, RPM, a variety that was common before the 1990s when mint marks were still punched by hand onto the dies. An RPM occurs when the mint mark, in this case, the D for Denver, is struck multiple times, slightly misaligned, creating a doubled or overlapped appearance. For instance, a 1988 D/D RPM, where the D is repunched over another D, could show a shadow or secondary D offset from the primary one. While no famous RPMs are catalogued for the 1988 D, the discovery of such an error, especially in high grades like MS65 or above, could make it a standout. Consider the 1942 D over horizontal D, one of the most famous RPMs in the Jefferson nickel series, where the D was punched horizontally by mistake before being corrected vertically. This error can fetch up to $15,275 in MS66 condition. A comparable RPM on a 1988 D, especially if it's as visually striking, could easily push its value into the tens or hundreds of thousands, and if it's one of a kind, it could approach the millions, especially if paired with a full steps designation, where the Monticello steps are fully struck and sharply defined. Full steps nickels are a collector's obsession because they indicate a perfect strike, a rarity given the wear on dies during high-volume production like that of 1988. A 1988 D nickel with full steps and a dramatic RPM could be a $1 million coin, but let's not stop there. Let's explore other errors that could contribute to that $56 million valuation. Off-center strikes are another exciting possibility, where the planchet is misaligned during striking, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted. A 1988 D Jefferson nickel struck 50% off-center, with half of Jefferson's portrait or Monticello missing, would be visually stunning and highly collectible. Such errors are rare because quality control at the mint catches most misstrikes, but those that escape are prized. Depending on the degree of the off-center strike and the coin's condition, values could range from hundreds to thousands of dollars, with a pristine, dramatically off-center 1988 D potentially fetching tens of thousands. Then there's the clipped planchet error, where the planchet is cut improperly, leaving a crescent-shaped portion missing from the coin's edge. A 1988 D nickel with a significant clip, especially if it affects the design minimally and the coin remains in mint state, could be worth hundreds or more, adding to its allure. Another rare but possible error is an improper alloy mix, sometimes called a black beauty nickel, where the copper and nickel alloy is not properly blended, resulting in a dark or streaky appearance. These errors, seen in some 1950s nickels, are highly sought after, and a 1988 D example could command a premium, potentially in the thousands if it's unique. Now, you might be thinking, $56 million is a massive leap from these values, so how could a 1988 D Jefferson nickel reach such an astronomical price? The answer lies in the combination of multiple rare errors on a single coin, extreme rarity, and perfect condition. Imagine a 1988 D nickel with a dramatic double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, and full steps, graded MS68 or higher by a service like PCGS or NGC. Such a coin would be a numismatic unicorn, with only a handful of examples, if any, existing. To put this in perspective, the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, a special strike with fewer than 40 known examples, sold for $41,231.25 in MS68 full steps, and its extreme rarity and unique strike quality make it one of the most valuable Jefferson nickels ever. A 1988 D with multiple errors and similar rarity could surpass this, especially if it's the only known example. The $56 million figure might seem speculative, but it's not impossible when you consider auction records for other ultra-rare coins, like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, one of which sold for $3.7 million, or the 1804 silver dollar, fetching up to $7.7 million. If a 1988 D. Jefferson nickel were discovered with a combination of errors, say, a double die, an RPM, and an off-center strike, all in gem condition, it could ignite a bidding war among wealthy collectors, driving its value into the millions. The historical significance of the Jefferson nickel series, combined with the allure of a modern era coin, adds to the potential. The 1988 D was minted during a time when the mint was producing coins in massive quantities, yet quality control wasn't perfect, allowing rare errors to slip through. Collectors are particularly drawn to modern coins with errors because they're unexpected in an era of advanced minting technology, making them stand out against the billions of standard nickels. Let's also consider the full steps phenomenon, which can multiply a coin's value by 10 to 20 times. The steps on Monticello are notoriously difficult to strike fully due to die wear, and a 1988 D nickel with 6 clear, unbroken steps in MS67 or higher is exceptionally rare. For example, a 1953 S. Jefferson nickel with full steps in MS67 sold for $24,000, and a 1988 D in a similar grade with full steps and an error like a double die could easily climb into the 6 figures. If multiple errors are present, the value could escalate further, especially if the coin is slabbed and certified by a reputable grading service, ensuring authenticity and condition. The market for error coins is driven by rarity, condition, and collector demand, and Jefferson nickels have a dedicated following due to their long history and iconic design. The 1988 D, while common in standard form, becomes a treasure when errors are involved, and the possibility of a unique combination could justify a multi-million-dollar valuation. Now, let's talk about mint mark errors specifically, as they're a key factor in the 1988 D's potential value. Before 1990, mint marks were hand-punched, leading to errors like the 1942 D over horizontal D or the 1954 S/D, where a D was punched over an S. A hypothetical 1988 D/D/S, where a Denver mint mark was punched over a San Francisco one, would be a sensational find, as San Francisco didn't produce circulation strike nickels in 1988, only proofs. Such an error would suggest a die mix-up, an extremely rare occurrence that could push the coin's value into the stratosphere. Even a standard 1988 D/D RPM, if distinct and certified, could fetch thousands, as seen with other RPMs in the series. Next, 2012 D. Jefferson Nickels USA Coins and Treasure Hunters, to an exciting deep dive into one of the most fascinating topics in modern numismatics, the 2012 D. Jefferson nickel and the extraordinary possibility that a single one of these seemingly ordinary 5-cent coins could be worth an astonishing $55 million. A value so far removed from its humble face value that it sounds like something out of a treasure hunting legend, but stick with me as we unravel the intricate details of this coin's potential, exploring the errors, mint mark anomalies, and rare varieties that could transform a pocket change nickel into a life-changing fortune, while also delving into the history, design, and numismatic significance of the Jefferson nickel series to understand why such a modern coin could hold such jaw-dropping value. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, was designed by Felix Schlag to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and a founding father whose legacy as the primary author of the Declaration of Independence is immortalized on the coin's obverse, which features his left-facing portrait based on a bust by Jean-Antoine Houdon, while the reverse showcases Monticello, his Virginia estate, a design that has remained largely consistent for over 8 decades, though with notable changes during the 2004 to 2005 Westward Journey series and a permanent update in 2006 to a forward-facing Jefferson portrait by Jamie Franke. The 2012 D. Jefferson nickel, struck at the Denver Mint, is part of this long-running series, and while most of these coins are worth only their face value of 5 cents, certain rare errors and varieties could theoretically push their value to astronomical heights, though no single 2012 D nickel has been documented as selling for $55 million. Yet the possibility exists due to the unpredictable nature of mint errors and the fervent demand among collectors for unique specimens. To understand this potential, let's first consider the minting process and how errors occur. Coins are struck from dies, which are metal stamps that imprint the design onto blank planchets, and any imperfection in these dies or the striking process can create errors that collectors prize, such as double dies, where the design appears duplicated due to a misalignment in the die creation, or off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned on the planchet, or even wrong planchet errors, where a nickel is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a dime or quarter. For the 2012 D. Jefferson nickel, the Denver Mint produced over 558 million coins, a substantial mintage that makes most of these nickels common, but this high production volume also increases the chance for errors to slip through quality control, especially in a modern minting environment where high-speed presses can lead to mechanical mishaps. One of the most valuable types of errors is the double die, particularly a dramatic one affecting key design elements like Jefferson's portrait, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," or the Monticello building on the reverse, and while no major double die has been widely reported for the 2012 D, a hypothetical specimen with clear, naked-eye visible doubling could command a significant premium, potentially in the tens of thousands or more, depending on its grade and visibility. Another error to consider is the repunched mint mark, RPM, where the D mint mark, indicating the Denver Mint, is struck multiple times, creating a visible overlap. Though RPMs were more common before the 1990s when mint marks were hand-punched, a rare modern instance could still occur due to die preparation mistakes, and such an error on a 2012 D nickel could elevate its value significantly, perhaps fetching thousands in high grades like MS65 or above, especially if paired with a full steps designation, which refers to the clarity of the 6 steps leading up to Monticello, a feature that is notoriously difficult to strike perfectly and thus highly prized by collectors. Full steps, FS, Jefferson nickels, graded by agencies like PCGS or NGC, can command premiums even without errors, and a 2012 D nickel with a dramatic error like an off-center strike, where, say, 50% of the design is missing, or a wrong planchet error, such as a nickel struck on a copper cent planchet, could push its value into the 6-figure range. As seen with other error coins like the 1964 Jefferson nickel struck on a Philippine centavo, which sold for $1,200 in MS64 condition. The $55 million figure, however, seems to stem from speculative hyperbole or a misunderstanding of the market, as even the rarest Jefferson nickels, like the 1964 SMS, Special Mint Set, nickel, have sold for only around $32,900, though this coin's extreme rarity, fewer than 40 examples exist, demonstrates how exceptional circumstances can drive values to extraordinary heights. To reach a $55 million valuation, a 2012 D nickel would need to exhibit an unprecedented combination of errors, such as a unique double die on both obverse and reverse, struck on a rare planchet like a silver wartime alloy, impossible for 2012 but illustrative of value drivers, and graded in pristine MS70 condition with full steps, a grade that is exceedingly rare for modern coins due to the high-speed minting process that often leaves minor imperfections. Additionally, the coin's provenance could play a role, if it were tied to a famous collection or discovered in a dramatic context, like a long-lost mint hoard, its marketability could skyrocket, as collectors often pay premiums for historical significance, as seen with the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, of which only 5 exist, with one selling for $3.7 million in 2010. The 2012 D nickel, being a modern coin, benefits from the intense scrutiny of today's collectors, who use advanced tools like loops and online databases to hunt for errors, and platforms like eBay and heritage auctions make it easier to identify and sell such rarities, amplifying their value when discovered. Another factor is the coin's condition. Jefferson nickels are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS60 and above indicating uncirculated coins, and those with full steps, 5FS or 6FS, are particularly valuable because the steps on Monticello require a precise strike to appear fully defined, a rarity in high mintage years like 2012. A hypothetical 2012 D nickel with a dramatic error, like a 90% off-center strike or a double denomination, struck over another coin, could fetch tens of thousands, but reaching $55 million would likely require a unique combination of errors, pristine condition, and intense collector demand fueled by media hype, as seen with other ultra-rare coins like the 1933 Double Eagle, which sold for $18.9 million in 2021. The Jefferson nickel series has a rich history of valuable errors, such as the 1943 P3 halves over date, where a die from 1942 was reused, creating a visible 3/2, or the 1942 D over horizontal D, a repunched mint mark error that sold for up to $32,200 in MS66 with full steps. And these precedents suggest that a 2012 D nickel with a similarly dramatic error could command significant sums, though likely not $55 million unless it were a one-of-a-kind anomaly. Other possibilities include clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to an improperly cut blank or improper alloy mix errors, like the Black Beauty nickels of the 1950s, which had a dark appearance due to alloy issues, and while no such errors are documented for 2012 D, their discovery could spark collector frenzy. The wartime silver nickels of 1942 to 1945, with their large mint marks above Monticello, are a reminder that composition changes can also drive value, but the 2012 D, made of the standard 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, would rely solely on minting errors for such an extreme valuation. The numismatic community's fascination with Jefferson nickels also stems from their accessibility. Unlike rare gold coins, nickels are still found in circulation, making them a favorite for collectors of all levels, and a 2012 D with a significant error could be discovered in pocket change, fueling dreams of striking it rich. The Denver Mint's high output in 2012 means that errors are statistically more likely than in low mintage years like 1950 D, 2.6 million, yet the sheer volume also makes finding pristine examples challenging, as most coins enter circulation and suffer wear. Grading services like PCGS and NGC play a crucial role in establishing value, as their authentication and grading lend credibility, and a 2012 D nickel graded MS70 with full steps and a major error could theoretically approach seven figures if it were unique, though $55 million remains a stretch without historical precedent. The coin market is driven by rarity, condition, and demand, and while modern coins like the 2012 D typically don't command such extreme prices, the discovery of a new era variety could change the narrative, especially in an era where social media and online auctions amplify interest. For context, the 1950 D nickel, with its low mintage, was heavily hoarded and once commanded high prices, but its value later stabilized due to availability, suggesting that a 2012 D era coin would need to be exceptionally rare to sustain a multi-million-dollar valuation. Collectors should also consider the role of market trends. Silver wartime nickels, for instance, fluctuate with silver prices, but the 2012 DS value would hinge on its numismatic appeal rather than metal content, as its copper-nickel composition is worth only a few cents. The possibility of a $55 million 2012 D nickel, while tantalizing, likely arises from exaggerated claims or confusion with other rare coins, but the potential for significant value exists in the right circumstances, such as a unique error combination or a coin tied to a significant historical event, like a minting anomaly discovered during. Next 2007 D Jefferson Nickels USA coins today. Coin enthusiasts, collectors, and treasure hunters, to an exciting deep dive into one of the most fascinating topics in American numismatics, the 2007 D Jefferson nickel and the tantalizing possibility of a coin worth $20 million due to its rare errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies. If you've ever wondered how a humble 5-cent piece could transform into a numismatic treasure worth millions, you're in the right place, so grab your magnifying glass, settle in, and let's embark on this thrilling journey through the world of Jefferson nickels, where a single coin's imperfections could rewrite your financial future. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, is a staple of American coinage, featuring the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third U.S. president, on the obverse, and his iconic Monticello estate on the reverse, designed by Felix Schlag to replace the Buffalo nickel, which was notoriously difficult to strike due to its high relief design and the hardness of the copper-nickel alloy. 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing exactly 5 grams with a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. The 2007 D Jefferson nickel, minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark to the right of Jefferson's portrait on the obverse, is part of the ongoing series that saw a temporary redesign from 2004 to 2005 to commemorate the Lewis and Clark expedition, before reverting to the classic Monticello reverse in 2006. A design that continues to captivate collectors for its historical significance and aesthetic appeal. In 2007, the Denver Mint produced approximately 626,028,000 Jefferson nickels, a substantial mintage that suggests these coins are common, with a face value of just 5 cents and a melt value of around $0.0589 due to the metal composition, according to data from coin valuation sites like USA CoinBook. But what elevates certain 2007 D nickels to extraordinary value are the rare errors and mint mark varieties that make them stand out in the numismatic world, potentially fetching prices that rival the most coveted coins in history, such as the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, one of which sold for $3.7 million in 2010, or the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, which fetched $32,900 in 2016 due to its rarity and special strike quality. To understand why a 2007 D Jefferson nickel could be worth $20 million, we need to explore the types of errors that can occur during the minting process, as these imperfections, far from diminishing value, can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's holy grail, coveted by numismatists willing to pay astronomical sums for unique anomalies that tell a story of human or mechanical mishaps at the mint. Let's start with the most dramatic and valuable type of error, the double die, a mistake that occurs when a die, the metal stamp used to strike coins, is misaligned or struck multiple times during its creation, resulting in a coin with double design elements, such as letters, numbers, or images, that are slightly offset, creating a ghostly effect visible to the naked eye or under magnification. A phenomenon that has made coins like the 1955 Lincoln Cent double die one of the most famous in U.S. history, valued at over $100,000 in high grades. For the 2007 D. Jefferson nickel, a hypothetical double die error on the obverse, where Jefferson's profile or the inscriptions, Liberty, or, In God We Trust, appear doubled, or on the reverse, where Monticello's steps or the words, 5 cents, show doubling, could significantly increase its value, potentially reaching tens of thousands or even millions if the doubling is pronounced and the coin is in pristine, uncirculated condition, graded MS67 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC, with the added designation of full steps, FS, indicating that the 6 steps leading to Monticello are fully struck and distinct, a feature that commands a premium because it signifies a high-quality strike, rare for modern coins due to improved minting technology but still prized by collectors who value perfection, as full steps nickels from earlier years, like the 1947 S, have sold for $14,950 in 2007 when in exceptional condition. Another error that could propel a 2007 D nickel's value into the stratosphere is a repunched mint mark, RPM, a variety where the mint mark, in this case, the D for Denver, is punched into the die more than once, often at slightly different angles or positions, creating an overlapping effect, such as a D over D or even a D over S. If a die intended for San Francisco was repurposed for Denver, a rare occurrence that happened in 1949 and resulted in a coin selling for $32,900 in 2014 due to its scarcity and clear visibility under magnification. While RPMs were more common before 1989, when mint marks were hand-punched, a 2007 D nickel with a significant RPM error would be a numismatic anomaly, as modern minting processes use pre-punched dies, but a mechanical error or die reuse could theoretically produce such a variety, making it one of only a handful known, driving its value to extraordinary heights, possibly into the millions, as seen with the 1942 D over horizontal D Jefferson nickel, which sold for $15,275 in MS66 condition, or even $32,200 with full steps, due to its rarity and dramatic error. Another possibility is an off-center strike, where the coin is misaligned during minting, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted, with values increasing based on the percentage of off-centering, say, 10% to 50%, and whether both sides retain key elements like the date and mint mark, with a 2007 D nickel struck 50% off-center in uncirculated condition potentially fetching thousands, as off-center errors are visually striking and highly sought after, like the 1964 Jefferson nickel, struck on a centavo planchet, which sold for $1,200 in MS64 due to its lighter weight and unique appearance. A wrong planchet error, where a 2007 D nickel is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a dime or penny planchet, would also be a game changer, as these coins are significantly lighter or heavier than the standard 5 grams, instantly noticeable to collectors, with a famous example being a 1943 Jefferson nickel struck on a steel planchet, which sold for $14,950 in 2010, and a 2007 D nickel struck on a dime planchet could command similar or higher prices due to its rarity in a modern context, potentially pushing its value toward the millions if certified and well preserved. Clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to an improperly cut blank, are another collectible mistake, often valued at hundreds to thousands depending on the size of the clip and the coin's condition, while a double denomination error, such as a 2007 D nickel struck over a previously struck coin like a dime or quarter, could be worth tens of thousands. As seen with a 2007 George Washington dollar struck over a Jefferson nickel, a dramatic error that underscores the potential for modern minting mistakes to create valuable hybrids. Die cracks, where a break in the die leaves raised lines or irregularities on the coin, can also add value, especially if the crack is significant or creates a unique pattern, with some die crack errors fetching hundreds in high grades, and a cut error, a type of die crack where a large blob of metal appears due to a broken die, could push a 2007 D nickel's value into the thousands, as collectors prize these for their dramatic, one-of-a-kind appearance. Another rare error is the missing clad layer, where one side of the coin lacks its nickel coating, exposing the copper core, giving it a distinct reddish hue, an error that can fetch hundreds to thousands depending on condition and visibility, as seen in other modern nickels where such errors are documented. The condition of the coin is paramount, as even minor errors can command huge premiums in uncirculated grades like MS65 or higher, especially with full steps, which are rare for 2007 D nickels due to the high mintage and automated minting processes that prioritize quantity over precision, but a coin with a combination of errors, say, a double die obverse, an RPM, and full steps, could be a once-in-a-lifetime find, potentially justifying a $20 million valuation if it's unique and verified by experts, as the numismatic market has shown a willingness to pay such sums for unparalleled rarities, like the 1804 silver dollar, which sold for $7.6 million in 1999, or the 1933 double eagle, which fetched $18.9 million in 2021. The historical context of 2007 adds intrigue, as it was a year of economic uncertainty leading up to the 2008 financial crisis, potentially leading to rushed production or overlooked errors at the Denver Mint, increasing the likelihood of mistakes slipping into circulation. And while no specific 2007 D nickel has been documented as worth $20 million, the precedent set by other Jefferson nickel errors, like the 1964 SMS nickel's $32,900 sale or the 1939 double die reverse fetching $23,500, suggests that a unique combination of errors could theoretically reach such a valuation, especially if it captures the imagination of wealthy collectors at auction, where bidding wars can drive prices to unprecedented levels, as seen with the 2000 Jefferson nickel with two overlapping heads, which sold for $20,520 in 2018. The mint mark itself, the D on the 2007 D nickel, is a critical factor, as errors involving mint marks, such as a misplaced or overstruck mark, are highly prized, and a hypothetical D over S or D over D error could be a key driver of value, particularly if it's one of only a few known examples, as scarcity is the cornerstone of numismatic value. With low mintage coins like the 1950 D Jefferson nickel, with just 2.6 million struck, commanding high prices even without errors due to their rarity. Collectors also value provenance, the story behind a coin's discovery. Next, 1983 P Jefferson nickel USA coins today. Coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters, to an exciting deep dive into the world of the 1983 P Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece that has the potential to be worth a staggering $70 million due to its rare errors, mint mark mistakes, and unique characteristics that make it a numismatic legend. Buckle up as we explore the fascinating history, intricate details, and jaw-dropping possibilities that could transform a humble pocket change coin into a life-changing fortune. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, was designed by Felix Schlag to honor the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, featuring his portrait on the obverse and his iconic Virginia estate, Monticello, on the reverse, a design that has become a staple of American coinage for over 8 decades. By 1983, the Jefferson nickel was a common sight in circulation, struck in massive quantities at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced over 561 million of these coins, identifiable by the absence of a mint mark or, in some cases, a prominent P mint mark on the obverse, a feature that became standard for Philadelphia coins starting in 1980, except for wartime nickels. The 1983 P nickel, composed of a 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, weighs 5 grams, measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge, making it unremarkable at first glance, with a face value of just 5 cents and a melt value of approximately $0.0578, based on current metal prices. Yet, hidden among these millions of coins are rare anomalies, errors and varieties that elevate their value to astronomical heights, captivating collectors and investors alike. Let's start with the minting process, which, in the early 1980s, was a blend of precision and occasional human error, as dies were hand-punched and machinery sometimes faltered, leading to mistakes that are now the holy grail of numismatics. One of the most coveted errors is the double die, where a misalignment during the die creation process results in a visible doubling of design elements, such as Jefferson's profile, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," or the date, 1983, on the obverse, or the Monticello building, the words, 5 cents, or E pluribus unum, on the reverse. A strong double die on a 1983 P nickel, particularly one graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, with clear doubling visible to the naked eye, could fetch tens of thousands of dollars, as collectors prize these dramatic errors for their rarity and visual appeal. Another error to watch for is the repunched mint mark, RPM, a relic of the hand-punching era, where the P mint mark was struck multiple times, slightly offset, creating a shadow or overlapping effect. For example, a 1983 P with a P/P RPM, especially in uncirculated condition, can command premiums of $500 to $5,000, depending on the clarity and grade, with fewer than 100 such examples known to exist. Overpunched mint marks, where a P is struck over another letter, are less common but theoretically possible due to die reuse or errors in mint mark application, and such a variety, if discovered, could be valued in the tens of thousands due to its extreme scarcity. Another intriguing error is the off-center strike, where the coin is misaligned during minting, resulting in part of the design missing or shifted. A 1983 P nickel struck 50% off-center, with both the obverse and reverse partially blank but still showing key elements like Jefferson's portrait or Monticello, could be worth $1,000 to $10,000 in high grades, as these errors are both visually striking and rare. Wrong planchet errors, where a 1983 P nickel is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a dime or quarter, are exceptionally rare, with values ranging from $5,000 to $50,000, depending on the planchet type and condition, as these mistakes required a significant oversight in the minting process. Die cracks, where the die used to strike the coin develops fractures, can create raised lines or cuds on the coin's surface, and a 1983 P nickel with a prominent cud, say, a large blob covering part of Jefferson's face or Monticello's steps, could be worth $500 to $2,000, especially if it's a unique or dramatic example. The full steps designation, indicating a coin with sharply defined steps on Monticello's entrance, is another critical factor. While most 1983 P nickels lack this detail due to worn dies or weak strikes, those graded MS65 or higher with full steps, FS, showing 5 or 6 clear steps, are highly sought after, with values ranging from $50 to $1,000 for MS65 FS and up to $10,000 for MS67 FS, as PCGS estimates fewer than 1% of Jefferson nickels achieve this designation. The condition of the coin is paramount, as uncirculated coins graded MS60 to MS70 by PCGS or NGC are exponentially more valuable than circulated examples, which are typically worth only face value unless they exhibit a significant error. For instance, a 1983 P nickel in MS65 condition without errors is valued at $2.44 to $11, but with a full steps designation or a major error, that value skyrockets. Now, let's address the $70 million question: could a 1983 P Jefferson nickel truly be worth such an astronomical sum? While no single 1983 P nickel has sold for this amount, the potential exists in the realm of unique, one-of-a-kind errors or varieties that could redefine the numismatic market. Consider the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, a special mint set coin with a matte finish and exceptional strike quality, of which fewer than 40 examples are known, with one selling for $41,231.25 at auction. A hypothetical 1983 P nickel with a similar unique status, say, a previously undiscovered prototype strike, a dramatic error like a double denomination, struck over another coin, or an unprecedented mint mark anomaly, could theoretically approach or exceed this value if it captures the imagination of wealthy collectors. The numismatic world has seen such outliers before, like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, with only 5 known examples, valued at millions due to its rarity and historical significance. A 1983 P nickel with a unique combination of errors, such as a double die obverse and reverse, an overpunched mint mark, and full steps in MS68 or higher, could push its value into the 6 or 7-figure range, especially if it's the only known example. The 1983 PS high mintage of 561,615,000 coins makes finding these errors like searching for a needle in a haystack, but that scarcity is precisely what drives value. Collectors thrive on the thrill of discovering a coin that defies the odds. The Philadelphia Mint's practices in 1983, including the use of the P mint mark and high-speed production, increased the likelihood of errors slipping through quality control, as the mint was focused on quantity to meet circulation demands. Historical context also plays a role. The early 1980s saw economic fluctuations and changes in minting technology, which could contribute to errors like overdates or improper die preparation, though no confirmed 1983-2 overdate exists, unlike the 1943-2 fishhook error valued at up to $32,200. The possibility of a 1983 P nickel struck on a silver planchet, a throwback to the 1942-1945 wartime nickels, is another tantalizing prospect. While no such examples are documented, a discovery of this nature could command a premium in the hundreds of thousands, given the historical precedent of silver-worn nickels. Counterfeiters and speculators also add intrigue, as some may attempt to create fake errors to capitalize on high values, making authentication by reputable grading services critical. Collectors should look for signs of authenticity, such as proper weight, diameter, and die characteristics, and avoid cleaned or damaged coins, which diminish value. The numismatic community's fascination with Jefferson nickels has grown since the 1970s, when full steps collecting became popular, and the 1983 P, while not a key date like the 1939 D or 1950 D, gains value through its errors and condition rarities. Auction records show that Jefferson nickels with significant errors, like the 1942 D over horizontal D, valued at up to $32,200, set precedents for high prices, and a 1983 P with a comparable or more dramatic error could follow suit. The excitement of coin collecting lies in the hunt, and the 1983 P nickel offers endless possibilities, from minor die cracks worth a few $100s to hypothetical one-of-a-kind errors that could redefine the market. Imagine finding a 1983 P nickel in your pocket change, sending it to PCGS, and discovering it's a previously unknown variety, an event that could spark bidding wars among top collectors. To maximize your chances, check coins under magnification for doubling, mint mark anomalies, or off-center strikes, and consult resources like coinvaluechecker.com or USA Coin Book for guidance on grading and values. The 1983 P Jefferson nickel may seem like an ordinary coin, but its potential to be worth $70 million lies in the rare errors and varieties that make numismatics a thrilling pursuit, where every coin could be a hidden treasure waiting to be uncovered. So, keep searching, stay curious, and who knows, you might just find the next 1989 P Jefferson nickel USA coins today. Enthusiasts, collectors, and curious minds to our deep dive into one of the most fascinating topics in numismatics, the 1989 P. Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin that, under the right circumstances, could be worth an astonishing $44 million due to rare errors, mint mark anomalies, and unique production quirks that make it a holy grail for collectors. Buckle up as we embark on an exciting journey through the world of Jefferson nickels, exploring their history, design, minting process, and the extraordinary mistakes that can transform a humble coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure, all while keeping our focus on the 1989 P. Jefferson nickel and the factors that could elevate its value to such staggering heights. Let's start with a bit of context about the Jefferson nickel itself, a coin that's been a staple of American currency since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel, which had been notoriously difficult to strike cleanly due to its high-relief design and the hardness of the copper-nickel alloy. Designed by Felix Schlag, the Jefferson nickel features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse, with his Virginia estate, Monticello, gracing the reverse, a design chosen through a national competition that Schlag won for its elegance and historical significance. The 1989 P. Jefferson nickel, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, is one of the many in this long-running series, with a mintage of over 1.08 billion coins, making it a common coin in circulated condition, typically worth just its face value of 5 cents unless it possesses specific characteristics that set it apart. To understand why a 1989 P. Jefferson nickel could theoretically command a value as high as $44 million, we need to delve into the world of minting errors, varieties, and the collector's market, where rarity, condition, and unique anomalies drive prices to astronomical levels. First, let's consider the minting process in 1989, a time when the Philadelphia Mint was producing coins in massive quantities to meet circulation demands, yet even with modern technology, mistakes happened, and these errors are what collectors chase with fervor. The 1989 P. Jefferson nickel, like its predecessors, is composed of a 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, weighs 5 grams, measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge, but what makes certain examples of this coin extraordinarily valuable are the errors that occurred during its production. One of the most coveted types of errors is the doubled die, a mistake where the die used to strike the coin has a doubled image due to a misalignment during the hubbing process, creating a noticeable doubling in the design elements, such as the lettering, date, or Jefferson's portrait. For the 1989 P. Jefferson nickel, a dramatic doubled die obverse, where the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date, 1989, show clear, distinct doubling visible to the naked eye, could significantly increase its value, especially if graded in high mint state, such as MS-67 or above by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Such doubling errors are rare because quality control at the mint had improved by the late 1980s, but they still slipped through, and a pristine example with a pronounced double die could fetch tens of thousands or more at auction, though reaching $44 million would likely require an unprecedented level of doubling combined with perfect preservation and a frenzy of collector demand. Another error that could elevate the 1989 P. Jefferson nickel's value is a repunched mint mark, RPM, a variety where the P mint mark, which indicates the Philadelphia Mint, was punched into the die multiple times, resulting in a slightly offset or doubled mint mark. In 1989, the Philadelphia Mint used the P mint mark on nickels, a practice that began in 1980 for this denomination, and an RPM error, such as a P/P, where the mint mark shows a clear secondary impression, would be highly sought after, particularly if it's a previously undiscovered variety. Historically, RPMs were more common in earlier decades when mint marks were hand-punched, but by 1989, the process was more mechanized, making such errors scarcer and thus more valuable, potentially adding thousands to the coin's value in high grades. Off-center strikes are another error type that could make a 1989 P. Jefferson nickel a collector's dream, occurring when the planchet is misaligned in the press, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted, with the degree of off-center striking, say, 50% or more, greatly increasing the coin's appeal and value, especially if both the obverse and reverse are well preserved and the date remains visible. A 1989 P. Jefferson nickel struck 70% off-center in gem uncirculated condition could command prices in the thousands, and if paired with other errors, its value could climb exponentially. Clipped planchet errors, where the coin's blank was improperly cut from the metal sheet, resulting in a crescent-shaped missing portion, are also collectible, and a 1989 P nickel with a significant clip could be worth hundreds to thousands, depending on the size and visibility of the error. Another rare and valuable error is the overdate, though less likely in 1989 due to improved minting technology, where a die from a previous year, say, 1988, is repunched with the new year, 1989, creating a visible 1989-8 effect, which, if discovered, could push the coin's value into the tens or hundreds of thousands due to its extreme rarity. Additionally, coins struck on the wrong planchet, such as a 1989 P Jefferson nickel struck on a dime planchet, composed of 90% silver from an earlier era or a clad composition, or even a cent planchet, would be a numismatic unicorn, potentially worth millions if authenticated, as such errors are exceedingly rare and highly prized by collectors. The full steps designation is another critical factor in the value of Jefferson nickels, referring to the clarity of the 6 steps leading up to Monticello on the reverse, which require a strong, precise strike to be fully defined. By 1989, minting technology produced more coins with full steps than in earlier years, but a 1989 P Jefferson nickel graded MS67 or MS68 with full steps is still exceptionally rare, with PCGS and NGC population reports showing only a handful in these top grades, and such coins can command premiums of $5,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on market conditions. The $44 million valuation, however, suggests an extraordinary combination of factors: an ultra-rare error like a double die or wrong planchet, coupled with full steps, in a near-perfect MS69 or MS70 grade, which is virtually unheard of for a modern coin like the 1989 P nickel due to the challenges of achieving such flawless preservation. Let's explore the historical context of 1989 to understand why such a coin could reach this value. The late 1980s saw a robust economy, with high mintages to support commerce, but the Philadelphia Mint's quality control wasn't infallible, and errors, while rare, did occur. The collector's market in the late 1980s was also vibrant, with a growing interest in error coins and high-grade specimens, spurred by the rise of third-party grading services that standardized coin evaluation, making rarities more identifiable and valuable. Auction records for Jefferson nickels, such as the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel sold for $41,231.25 in MS68 FS, show that exceptional examples can fetch staggering sums, and a hypothetical 1989 P nickel with a unique combination of errors could surpass this if it captures the imagination of wealthy collectors or investors. For instance, a 1989 P Jefferson nickel with a dramatic double die obverse, a repunched P mint mark, and full steps, graded MS69 by PCGS, could theoretically ignite a bidding war at a major auction, especially if it's a one-of-a-kind discovery, as the numismatic community loves firsts and unique specimens. The $44 million figure, while speculative, could be justified if the coin is a singular anomaly, perhaps struck on a rare transitional planchet, like a silver planchet left over from the wartime nickel era, or exhibiting multiple major errors, such as a double die combined with an off-center strike and a clipped planchet, all in pristine condition. The rarity of such a combination cannot be overstated. Most 1989 P nickels are common, with millions surviving in circulated or low-grade uncirculated condition, but the odds of a single coin having multiple high-value errors in gem state are astronomically low, akin to winning the lottery multiple times. Let's also consider the role of provenance and market dynamics. A 1989 P Jefferson nickel tied to a famous collection or discovered in a high-profile context, like a long-sealed mint set or a hoard, could add to its allure, driving up its value as collectors compete to own a piece of numismatic history. The grading process further amplifies value, as coins graded by PCGS or NGC with designations like full steps or deep cameo for proofs command significant premiums, and a 1989 P nickel in MS70, if it exists, would be a numismatic miracle, potentially worth millions on its own due to the sheer impossibility of perfection in mass-produced coins. Moreover, the 1989 P Jefferson nickel's value could be influenced by the broader Jefferson nickel series, which includes key dates like the 1939 D, mintage 3.5 million, and 1950 D, mintage 2.6 million, both highly sought after, but a 1989p with a unique error could eclipse these due to its modern rarity and the hype surrounding a new discovery. The silver wartime nickels, 1942 to 1945, with their large mint marks and 35% silver content, set a precedent for high-value varieties within the series, and while the 1989p is a standard copper-nickel coin, an error mimicking the uniqueness of those